I've got the need to do the deed. Let's talk about Pin.
All day thinking about that, haven't you?
Yeah, pretty much. Hello and welcome to Predictocast. I would normally do the whole thing about talking about a movie that we don't know nothing about and watching 10 minutes and stuff, but I'm tired, and we're not doing that this month. We are looking back at some of our favorite, and I will say favorite here. Some of the previous episodes, I didn't necessarily say favorite, but this one for sure is a favorite. We're looking back at some of our favorite movies that we've covered in the first 4 years of the show. And we didn't want to just do a rehash and talk about them all over again. We wanted to bring on some friends of ours to talk about them with us. My name is Josh, and with me as always is Skinner. Hey, Skinner.
Hey, Josh. Hey, all my dummies out there.
And this week on the show, we are joined by Megan Sunday, one of the hosts of Let's Get Weirding. Hello, Megan. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, guys. Here we are.
We're back.
We are here. Welcome back to the show.
Oh my God, we're back again.
Pen Pals reunion.
Well, yes, exactly. We are here today to talk about a movie that has resonated with us, with all three of us, in such a way that we basically formed the idea for this month, for the whole retrospective thing, just so we could bring you on the show to talk about Pin.
Oh no.
What I love about this idea was, like, when we had you on for the single Predictocast book club episode on the
I said that it was probably the only one, and I was right.
The idea was, oh shit, we should have had Megan on for covering the movie, but we lost that chance. However, we just fucking did it anyways.
That's right. And as you've heard from some of the previous sort of rehash episodes that we've put out, we're not going through the movie plot by plot. If you want to hear our thoughts on the movie as it goes, you should go back and you should check out the episode on the show that we did. I think it was episode 21, I think, way back in the early days of the show, the first year. And then we also did, I think that it was in like the interim between season 1 and 2, we did the book club episode where Megan joined us and we talked about the actual book by Andrew Niederman, Real Creep. And so you should listen to those if you want to hear like our thoughts on the actual like plot points and story. But honestly, this is just an excuse for us to get together to talk about this weirdo movie and to make the jokes that we make in our text thread, but on mic.
We talk about Pin a lot.
I love so much so that
we do.
That I am currently holding a pin of Pin.
Yay, me too.
I didn't get one yet. I'm sorry.
They're from France,
From
like
France.
the Coneheads.
They're
beautiful.
European.
Yeah, I failed here with that. They looked very cool. They're the book cover, right? Like it's a recreation of the book cover.
You have Ursula sitting on Pin.
Pin just caressing
best
her
seat in the
face.
house.
No Leon, thank God. I will wear no Leon pin.
God. Here's the nice thing about what we're doing here is that since we had you, yes, Pin perhaps is not the most wholesome or standard movie plot, and it may be a little uncomfortable to talk about at times. However, we have already talked about the book as a threesome, and this movie is less disturbing than the book.
It is.
That is
It
true.
almost has a happy ending comparatively.
And like nobody in the movie fucks Pin, right?
Not that we see.
Yes.
The nurse.
The nurse. Oh, that's right. The nurse. Okay. No one is half forced into intercourse with Pin.
There it is.
With their brother, thanks to
True. Yes.
and with their brother.
Exactly.
Yes. So okay. So it's good that we have Megan here because
It is good. The best
So it's
part of
not just
waking up is having Megan on to talk about Pin.
Of course.
You know what that means,
Of
Skinner?
course would have to go there.
It's that time of year, isn't it?
You're my present this year.
God damn it.
Well, that had to come up, and it is December, so it's almost Christmas time. Hopefully, they've started running that commercial.
I hope so. I don't see
by
commercials
now.
anymore. I'll have
No.
to check next time I watch something on Peacock. Maybe they'll throw it
But
in.
it's so sad
There's-
if he came home now. Like, he'd have to quarantine for 14 days before they could have an extended moment together.
No one's sneaking in
Well,
the
there's
morning
those-
to get their coffee.
There's those few holiday commercials that they continuously run. It's the Hershey Kisses one, it's the M&Ms and Santa, and it's the Folgers incest commercial.
The classics.
They've never updated it, still in SD, but they run that every Christmas.
And they, replaced that one that, we grew up with of the little girl and, her brother comes home, I guess from college or something. And it's much more wholesome and just like, oh, he came home. And then they're like, let's update that and make it horrible siblings. The real life siblings are dating Instagram.
What? It's amazing.
Well, that's what this movie
This
is. That's
movie
what Pin
is.
is.
Siblings are
This
dating.
movie- Yes.
Yes, that's the answer.
I realized rewatching the movie, because I had actually seen the movie before you did your episode, so I couldn't have been on it. I had seen it years before. That's the joy of having Canadian friends, I guess, is they're like, hey, how about Pin?
I have
Wait,
a Canadian
what?
friend, Brian
Wait,
Skinner.
what? Oh, I don't watch movies. We established this.
But that's I had seen it, and it was made to me a big deal at the time. I was told, like, oh, this is a Canadian horror movie. Like, you've probably never seen it, because it's from Canada.
What are the ginger snaps?
No, that I've seen. Canada. You have no secrets
That's
anymore,
the-
Canada. But I could not tell rewatching this movie how old anyone is supposed to be. And that made it worse.
I was going to open this up by saying the best part about Pin is that it's timeless. Because
It certainly is.
It's a 1988 movie, but this is not a 1980s movie.
No.
No. It's got a very like 50s kind of, like when they're kids and they're going in and talking to the dad before bed, the doctor, excuse me, before bed, it feels like it's in the 1950s. And then suddenly they're older, and when they're at like the dance and stuff and that like the next scene, it still feels kind of like 50s, 60s era sort of sock hop almost.
Mm. Except for the occasional character with a scrunchie.
Occasional. And, a little more happens at these parties. Like it's hard to say that they are vaguely no longer kids. But that's kind of it.
Yeah.
They are old enough to function. Like Data the Robot in Star Trek, Next Generation.
I mean, kinda.
Which, I bring up because someone fucks the doll in this movie. I can't stress that enough. If you've heard about this movie, you probably know what that fact. And you may think, oh, did that actually happen in the movie? Or are people just making that? No, it happens in the
And it's
movie.
quite vivid. Like,
Yes,
It is.
it is. Okay, so I was gonna sort of kick things off by asking, like, what is the message of this movie? Like, I'm not take Pin away from this, but like, what is it saying about these characters? Is it saying that like, if you grow up in a household with like a lot of structure and rules and certain things like that, then there is the potential for you to snap and like talk through a dummy at some point? Or is it like that the doctor had such a weird distance with his kids that he couldn't like relate to them, and because of everything being so clean and antiseptic and like distanced, with the mom being a clean freak and him being kind of unable to just connect to them and like give them the sex talk normally and not do it through a dummy, that like this, like without a good, proper, loving family, you're more likely to like turn into a madman. I'm trying to figure out what they're saying.
that's a big Niederman trope. Is this idea that everything that happens to you when you're growing up is going to affect you, and families are going to sort of fold in on themselves and become these strange little contained units, and it's almost impossible to break out of any of the things that you learned. And I think that the only time I think the movie tries to touch on that is that first dinner they have after the parents have died, when they're just like, woohoo, like we can eat whatever we want, we can do whatever we want. And Ursula just says, can we clean up before we go to bed? And like, that wouldn't be like, you wouldn't just wake up one morning and be like, let's go nuts, you know? But then they never go back to that. Then after that, it's sort of like, remember when we had parents?
Well, this is why I think that was what I was saying earlier. This is why you're the perfect person, because we talked about it on the book club episode, but Andrew Niederman, who wrote the book that the movie is based on, he's also he sort of took over the V.C. Andrews books, which you know a lot about, and those books typically have this kind of weird sort of sibling relationships, sometimes familial relationships that maybe go beyond the tasteful line.
Yeah, he's very into this idea that families can all just sort of accept a sort of shared delusion. Because even another book of his that I've read called Playmates is, you know, a woman gets in a car accident and ends up in this farmhouse where there's this like creepy farm family. And it's the same sort of thing where everyone is insane in this family and they're all just accepting it because it's like, oh, well, that's what happens when you're like an isolated, insular family. And it's like, well, not always. I mean, I think sometimes you just are okay, but not in...
That would make a great movie. Why have they not made that? I
believe they did. I think it was like a TV movie. I looked it up once on IMDb and I noticed that because it's like this.
Do you?
And of course, Devil's Advocate and then Pin. So I think he's had.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that he wrote that. That movie's wild.
And again, incest. Andrew.
That's true. Andrew. I don't want to see the contents of Andrew Niederman's hard drive ever. But also, I do have a question. Do you think that like with everything with like the whole family thing that he's got going on, is his favorite restaurant Olive Garden?
It would have to be.
Unlimited breadsticks.
Yes.
And when you're there, your family.
Because of the breadsticks.
You had to say it out loud. Like I was just gonna let it hang there.
Well, then you can make out with the waitress, and it can be like you're having sex with your sister,
or a coat rack. You know, whatever makes you happy.
They'd just taken Pin to the Olive Garden, shoving breadsticks in the dummy's face.
That is what this movie needs.
Uh-huh.
We talked about that on the book club. Yes, they needed more scenes of him out and about doing things, like a Weekend at Bernie's thing.
Yes, like a weekend with Bernie's thing, but also like a lot of what this is like to me at times is no one will say no to a white dude. Mm-hmm. And I want to see how far that goes outside of even his house. Like if a rich looking white dude is walking around with a skin dummy, like how much would people put up with him just doing shit because he's very confident in what he's doing and he's a white man.
Yeah, but he's also David Hewlett. Whom I love, no disrespect to Rodney McKay, but he's also David Hewlett.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true.
What would Leon be like if this was made today? Like, what kind of person? Would he be like an incel for sure, or like a volcel?
Probably a volcel.
Volcel, probably. I mean, because he has chances. Mm-hmm. To get rid of the cell, but he won't. But like, I mean, if he was an anime person, he would be a syscon.
What's that?
Yes, enlighten us, please, Skinner.
Let's see. Let me look this up real quick.
Good. Oh. You don't even know. You're just using terminology.
I just thought I would throw it and see if you guys.
If it was fanfic terminology, I would know it, but I don't watch anime. Okay.
Syscon, according to the Amino Apps Anime versus Reality. Syscon refers to a person who develops a strong sexual attraction to their sister.
Good Lord,
there's no real constraint regarding the age gap between parties. That's enough anime.
Okay.
Oh wow! All right. Well, good thing they put that caveat in there at the end.
I do say for starters that if they made this movie today, there would definitely be more people who were just like, well, I mean, they're not hurting anyone because they think, you know, Game of Thrones ruined a generation. And I've seen people in these here internets who are just like, well, I mean, who are Jamie and Cersei hurting. It's like, well, at the end of the day, it still doesn't matter because it doesn't matter.
Yeah, there's still some lines that you have to maybe not cross.
I mean, it's a taboo for a reason, and it's not really like, you know, because the government says no. It's because
oh my God, is the government going to start regulating our taboos?
They do. I'm sure. Do all the states? I don't know all your rules down here.
I like how it sounds like Canada is either like checking everyone at home or just a free for all.
I'm not speaking for New Brunswick because anything goes there.
Yeah.
But we talk about how, like, you know, if he has a very, you know, his clean freak mom, which is a really mean way of saying she's very neat. His emotionally distant father, and they can't have a normal talk with him about the whole process of both the birds and the bees. Mm. So he does it through Pin, and we're like, oh, the combination of which made a problem and kind of scarred him for life. But at the same time, if you had a really great dad, a super duper mom, and yet dad decided to have the conversation with you through an anatomical dummy, I wonder if you would still have some sort of damage from that.
Oh yes, for sure.
They also tried to throw in this kind of third act. Oh, he has schizophrenia. And it's like, well, no, but Ursula, you still had a dad who talked to you through a dummy. And your mom still like vacuumed underneath you when you had cookies, and you weren't allowed to have people over because she said they were dirty. And, yes. You know, none of this is helping Leon's mental health, but let's not, I don't think we can just in the middle of this movie say, oh, it's nothing to do with external. It's all his mind.
Yeah, but also, like, at the same time, like that whole part where she like won't have friends over because they're dirty, I find that would actually scare the kid more because like that is the kind of social just pariah that makes it so hard to grow up. Mm-hmm. And like, you know,
evidenced when he just like walks down the street, people are like, oh, it's Leon.
Yes, and then you have your Leon's sister, which doesn't help.
No.
Yeah, it makes it hard for him to have friends because I'm sure there was that awkward conversation with some kid who was like, oh, sorry, you can't come over. Oh, why not? Well, like my mom says you're kind of dirty. And then the kid's like, well, fuck you. And they just never talk again.
Exactly. Leon is also the blazer and tie guy at school.
Oh,
and it is not a school with a uniform. So...
I mean, by the time I went to a business school for college, what you guys would call college in the States. Even the kids who were in the finance majors and stuff, who were at that age, they were dressing for success. Like they thought, like, oh, I'm gonna wear a suit and tie or blazer and jacket or vest and tie to class because I'm getting ready to be a big shot in the real world. I still hated them so much.
I mean, I knew the occasional kid who did that, but it's because it was the late 90s and it was all like, you know, the neo-ska, neo-swing revival. It wasn't Leon.
You guys had the Zoot Suit riot back at that point.
Back at that point, yes. In my youth.
In your youth.
When they do have the sex talk with Pin and he makes Ursula look at Pin's penis, does it get erect?
Whoa! Like, are you asking if the anatomic?
No. I'm saying yes.
Like, does it go up to 3 o'clock from?
Yes.
From 6?
Is there like? Is it just there floppy, or is there like a pump or some sort of crank that you can turn to make it
like Reebok pumps?
Yeah, it's.
I assume it's at least turgid given the nurse situation because she doesn't.
That's what I was getting at. Yes, that's what I was getting at. She
doesn't even wait for her coworkers to like actually leave the office. She's just like, I gotta get with this right now. But
is that something they all do, or do you think it's just her?
What do you mean they all do?
Like, do they all take their turns with Pin?
Oh, I hope not, because she didn't even wipe him down.
If you haven't seen this movie, you should watch this movie.
Just like the first 15 minutes. Then you'll understand this. She doesn't even change the paper on the exam table.
There's a lot of stuff like that in this movie to talk about. And truly, we have in detail over several podcasts and group text. But like, I really, one thing I remember from our first chat about it is like how crazy the car crash is.
Oh my God.
Where they go out of their way to make it seem like Pin is killing them.
Yes.
And there's no real, that's not actually what happens.
No, it's just, he's creeped out. Like the dad is creeped out by seeing Leon talking to Pin as if it were a real thing. And he's kind of like, well, shit, I appear to have screwed up my kid real bad.
His expression is the tweet, oh, check it out, I'm reaping. And now, oh, fuck, I'm sowing.
It's like there's a moment there where it feels like, because it's a quote unquote Canadian horror movie where like they feels like they're trying to tease like, are we going to become a movie where Pin is going to come to life? And that is not what this movie is at all.
Does it happen often in Canada?
Yes, all the time.
Oh my God, that's so scary.
We have so many versions of Mannequin.
So many blonde, white, ancient Egyptians.
Yes.
Like, with them driving wild, I have to say, I was running a little late to our record today, and I was driving home to get ready, and I was driving as if Pin was in my back seat, trying to get me. Like, that's how erratically I was driving.
That's not safe. Like, that's not a safe way to drive.
You could die, and then your roommates are stuck with your anatomical dummy that you keep in your room.
They're contacting your family, like, we really need you to take this. They're, oh no.
No. So, speaking of Canadian horror and Megan's incredible knowledge of all things Canada and our love of Mannequin and anatomical dummies coming to life, how much do you know about today's special?
Quite a bit.
Okay, good.
I was going to bring that up. I've never seen that show, but I know about it.
He at least comes to actual life.
Yes, he becomes a singing, dancing person. There's 121 episodes of today's special.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, I used to watch that. It was on Nickelodeon here.
Okay, good. Like, why did you guys have so much of our shows on Nickelodeon?
Because we had nothing else. They were just like, I don't know. Do they show it in Canada?
Yeah, those early years of Nickelodeon, there was lots of Canadian programming.
Uh-huh.
It always amazed me that you guys actually had You Can't Do That on Television before broader Canada did.
Yeah, I did watch that a lot as a kid. Yep. That was...
And Barf was kind of like a Pin.
Yeah, if you skinned him, he would be Pin.
If you skinned anyone, they'd be Pin.
No. You have to have... There's something about the person. You got to be just right.
So when he puts the skin on it, and Ursula has to be like, wow, cool, Leon. Oh boy.
Pin with the skin on. Pin.
Oh no. Where does it even come from? Like what?
Yeah, what is that?
It's not clay. It's like he couldn't buy it online then. So he had to go to a store.
He went to like a theater makeup store and bought putty and just
and like sculpted a face.
If I tried to do that, it would look like one of those art restorations.
He kind of does though.
He's making like he's out there. He watched the Lionel Richie Hello video, and he watched that lady sculpting the face, and he was like, I can do that for Pin.
Oh my God.
He looked Pin at times. If they did a family photo with Pin with skin Pin, it would look like that one picture where the dad is too cleaned up, too airbrushed out, and he's just a cartoon face.
Oh, that whole family that got really airbrushed. They posted their photos of this photographer who was like, yeah, I cleaned them up, and everybody looked like cartoons.
Oh man, that's me in Photoshop.
Every single bit of advertisement for this movie should have been skin Pin.
I gotta keep it hidden.
I've never seen a trailer for this. I'll have to look it up and see if it's available anywhere, because I'd love to see what the trailer shows.
Here's what I imagine it is. We open with "In a World Where," and we see them walking around and cleaning, and an anatomical dummy watching them, and then Skin Pin shows up on screen, and the announcer just screams for the rest of the entire
just
trailer.
Screams.
All right, I found a trailer.
Okay,
I'm going to send it to you. We're gonna pause, and then we'll come back after we watch it.
Pin is the one and only friend Leon's ever had. The only one who doesn't care that Leon's different.
God, it must be crazy to be here tonight. I defended you. Boy, was I dumb.
You never had secrets from each other.
Only Pin knows Leon's darkest secret.
Leon?
Hello, Marsha.
Oh my God.
When someone hurts Leon, Pin hurts them. When someone tries to come between them, Pin won't let them.
I don't think Aunt Dorothy will be staying with us for very long.
What do you mean?
Might take her a little while to feel the vibrations, but I think she will.
If you want to get closer to Leon, you'll have to take care of Pin before Pin takes care of you. Is Pin a friend?
Oh, please.
Or an enemy? Only Leon knows.
What have you done? What have you done?
What am I gonna do?
Pin, some friendships die hard.
Leon and Pin are the only friends in the world. Like, what was that?
Oh my God, they show the entire movie in the trailer. That was egregious.
And they don't even show Pin.
No.
And it's completely sold, like we just told. Like Pin's actually alive and is a killer.
Oh, goodness.
The trailer's amazing. Like, if you haven't seen the movie and you watch the trailer, you are going to expect something very different.
Oh, yeah.
There is not one hint that Pin is an anatomical dummy that he will try to get his sister to fuck.
And they show that scene from the very end as if it's going to be this big reveal when you can see Ursula's pencil skirt.
That is wild. That's the craziest thing, that they show the end of the movie where Leon becomes Pin. Like that, it's crazy.
Well, I love that with some older movie trailers. Like if you see a trailer, like an advertisement for like Gone with the Wind, it's entirely just, we know you read this book, so we'll just show you everything. Because it's all your favorite scenes from the book that are just going to be in this movie. So there are no secrets.
Yeah,
that was incredible.
Yeah,
I just love the word Pin in the font from coming out just like Pin.
Yeah, it's like flying at you like it's a 3D thing. Like, put your 3D glasses on now for Pin.
Oh my God, I'm so glad it wasn't 3D.
Oh my God, what could happen in what this movie could do in 3 dimensions?
Oh man, I would love to see Pin in 4DX.
No.
When the nurse rocks, you rocks.
You get misted with water.
The nurse scene is also just just rewatching it recently. I had just forgotten that scene one is just framed so. No wonder Leon is traumatized, because this lady is getting into it.
She is, and the way that Pin is positioned on her chest, and it's just kind of like with his vacant eyes. It's just kind of like, I just have to get through this.
That's why Leon's so traumatized, because he's like, oh, my friend is being assaulted. It's like, no, that's a dummy. She's still not acting appropriately, but that's not a real person.
Maybe
Leon,
that's why he doesn't. Maybe that's why he doesn't like sex, because he remembers seeing Pin seem so disinterested in it, and he's like, I wouldn't do that because Pin didn't like it.
If Pin was a CGI character and you just have like slightly grin in the middle of it,
they should have built multiple Pin faces where sometimes he's smiling a little bit, and they could like cut to it really quick. So
like he's hexadecimal in Reboot,
where you think that like it shows like, oh, is Pin smiling, or is it just a trick of the light, or is it the shadows playing a certain way? And
his face starts melting like that claymation Satan from the Mark Twain movie.
Yes, man. If Pin if Pin had been claymation, now that would be something.
That'd be something else. God, I wish this movie I mean, wish, but like it's amazing as it is. But like this trailer talking about like Pin's gonna do this and Pin's gonna do that, and like friend Leon will use Pin will destroy everyone who Leon doesn't like. It's like, or you just could say, and Leon will bludgeon somebody with a piece of wood.
Yeah, they show that too in the trailer.
Like, oh, you meet Stan and you watch that trailer, you're like, oh, I guess he's gonna die. Of course he's gonna die.
I like how Pin immediately just starts insulting Leon a lot when that plan starts going down, and it just starts going south, and suddenly his best imaginary friend is just sitting in his chair going like, well, you fucked this one up, Leon.
It is pretty great that like Pin goes from this just person thinking that he loves, it just is very clinical, it just says a few statements and just kind of backs him up to like just being is a fucking nag.
Yeah.
He's just like he's your Twitter comments, just telling you what you did wrong. If you spelled if you did a big review of something, you spelled one word wrong. He's just a dick.
Yeah, it's just very like poor Leon at a certain point. He's just trying to make dinner, and Pin's like, oh, Ursula's not going to eat dinner with you. Ursula hates you now, Leon. Don't know why. I guess it's because of you.
Guess it's because of you. I mean, right now you're eating this pork. It's been just overdone, and right now Stan's eating your sister.
Oh. Which again,
Pin's
it's
so
like, how
rude.
old is she supposed to be? Because
I
she talks
don't
about how
know.
she gets this. So she gets this job at the library, and then she says that when she graduates, like she can have it full time. So I'm assuming that's from high school. So I guess we'll just assume, she's 18. So
Well, she's younger than Leon because Leon is supposed to be applying for colleges, and he is just getting out of high school.
No,
Right?
I think no, he's older than that. I think
Is
she's
it-
still in high school.
How much
but
of a time? Well, how much of a time
There's a
jump
time
is there
jump.
before the parents die?
Well, they're all still in high school, and
after,
the
rather.
parents die because she's 15 when she gets pregnant,
Yes.
and then the parents die not long after that. I don't think.
Yeah, because right before they die, isn't he? Because the doctor and Leon are arguing because Leon hasn't applied for any colleges. He was supposed to do his college applications a while ago, and he hasn't done them yet. And they argue about that.
Yeah.
Man, he could have went to college and like gone into medicine, and there would just be so many Pins there. He could have a whole
God.
fraternity of Pins.
Oh, then he meets the dudes from Dead Ringers.
Oh no!
They're all just weird doctors together. They're like, we totally get you, Leon. This seems healthy and fine.
Did you know?
College will do that.
Did you know the subtitle for this film, at least according to Wikipedia, is "A Plastic Nightmare"?
I did, yeah. I think
That
that's
sounds
on
like
the
it gives it away.
VHS box. I believe when I borrowed my friend's VHS, it says that on it. Maybe? I might be making that up.
So your friend owned it.
Oh, he owns it still.
That's good.
That's
Someone
good for
has
him.
to.
Yeah.
Has this has been released on DVD, right?
That I don't know. I had only seen it on VHS.
I think that it has because I remember.
I mean, it's tailor made for Amazon Prime. Like it was created for it
Or Tubi.
decades earlier.
It
Why
is.
isn't
and
it on Tubi?
I don't
Why
know.
isn't it
This
on
movie should be everywhere.
Dear
Honestly.
It should be
Tubi.
free on Vudu or VUDU, I believe is how it's supposed to be called.
It should
I feel
be
like every
everywhere.
week Tubi sends me an email and they're like, Megan, here's some ideas we have for you. And sometimes it's like, I don't want to watch these comedies. And other times it's like, well, nope, there it is. Click. And Pin is,
I mean, like,
custom made for that.
Exactly. I mean, we're not talking about fucking Crackle here. We're talking about Tubi.
And they, it's, the transfer that I watched was not VHS quality necessarily. I think it was maybe DVD.
Oh, okay. Well, the one that we've watched, I think both times that we've done this have been just a link on YouTube.
Well, that's what I meant. I was trying not to say that I just watched it
Oh,
on YouTube. I was trying to be
oops.
respectful of the creators.
Sorry.
Who cares? It's Pin.
I was more concerned about like if Tubi does get it, that their business wouldn't be taken away. by YouTube. Let's go. What's the Daily Motion status on this thing?
It's
I'm
probably
sure
there.
It's there in pieces. It's one of those. Pin part 1. Pin part 2.
Not part 5 though. They skipped that one.
Sorry,
And
part 5 got taken down.
And all the other parts are uploaded by different people. It's not one. It's not one person.
So someone's made a nice little like a playlist for you.
No, it's never that easy.
It's amazing to this. Like that's one of these things that kids of the world. Back in the day, there was no YouTube. We couldn't find things. There's things that we would try to find so desperately, and it was like, oh well, sorry.
It's like, oh God, like there's things you'd see on TV. Like if you saw this on TV, and it probably was on Canadian TV every now and then, I just missed it. But like if you didn't see it in a window, like you would have to tell other people about it later. Mm-hmm. Like my friends and I talking about, oh, we saw a clip on the French channel of a golf course ninja, not having any idea what it was, not knowing what the movie was called, and it was a French dub, and it wasn't until years later that like, oh, this movie where this ninja walks around on a golf course became famous thanks to podcasts.
Yes, yeah. Well, so I did find the tweet. It was from back in November. There was an account, the Stitch Keeper. They posted a link that I tagged both of you in, or a photo that I tagged both of you in. And their tweet is time to smoke some weed and check out a film from my vault of random movies I've purchased over the years from discount bins but never watched. And it was Pin. It is on DVD. It does say a plastic nightmare on the cover. And they loved it, understandably. Well, yeah. But like I feel like it's one of those that's like slowly. It feels like it's one that's slowly starting to gain some traction. Like it's a cult movie, but I start seeing it pop up more and more weirdly.
Criterion, hey, I'll write the essay.
I mean, honestly, Arrow Video or like anybody like that could put one of these out, and I would snap it up in a second. Put me a 2K remaster transfer of Pin on Blu-ray. I will give you my $35.
And then make it part of a, if you can't just release one movie at a time. Also put in there Robot in the Family.
Honestly, you know what I would love is like a Sandor Stern box set. Like, give me some of that stuff. Give me his weird shit. Like we talked last week on the show with Gina Radcliffe about Amityville 4. That movie's wild too. And this feels Pin has I don't know, just the slightest better production values than that, which was a TV movie. But this still kind of feels like a TV movie.
Canada, just living there kind of feels like a TV movie sometimes.
Or an episode of Highlander.
Celebrities. Yeah. You just run into celebrities sometimes and you're like, oh, that's weird. Because they're not really big celebrities, they're Canadian celebrities. So like they just hang out places you've hang out. So this is this whole weird thing of life there.
Well, that's how you're supposed to act when you see celebrities, like in LA, isn't it? No one cares.
Yeah, nobody cares.
I remember my friend and I walking through a library once, and there was a lead singer of a band, Moist. Great name for a band, which is popular at the time in Canada only, and ever in Canada. And my buddy's like, "Oh, we gotta go talk to him. I know that guy." I'm like, "Yeah, he's in the band." He's like, "No, he's one of my friends." Like, "No, that guy's from TV. You don't actually know him." And like, oh, that's right. Let's not go talk to him.
I live near Washington, D.C., so I saw George Stephanopoulos in a Starbucks once. Like, that's woo-woo.
Is he short or tall?
He's short.
Because you're a tall person. Yes.
Yes. So
are you taller than me? I didn't notice.
Could be. Possible.
Could be.
It's possible that I am.
You tower over all peasants.
That is one of those things that, because I will say I am not that tall. Like I know women that are taller, but sometimes when I actually meet people in person, there are moments where I'm just like, oh, I really did not have a comprehension of heights. Here we all are.
I think that's just a weird thing that happens. I always feel like, oh yeah, like I hear about, I think it is a celebrity thing too. But like you see celebrities, you see, actors and stuff, and you're like, I have a concept of what that person looks like. And then you look up you see their height online and they're like, they're 5'6"? I'm taller than that person? How is that possible? They should be
Any
taller
male
than me.
celebrity that says 5'9", I'm like, 5'7" on a good day.
Every celebrity
Robert Downey
should
Jr.,
be.
I see you.
Every celebrity should be 6'5". Like I just in my brain, they should all be that tall.
That's few and far between. That's your Winston Dukes, your Vincent D'Onofrio's,
Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
I just assume everyone's taller than me. So like, there's never like I never meet someone and go like, wow, they're so tall. And I'm like, I just mentally assumed they were taller than me.
How tall is Pin?
How tall is
Does
Pin?
Pin have legs?
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Does
I mean, like
he?
he would.
I mean, yes.
He sits when he sits in the chair, we can see his feet, right?
But I didn't know if Leon just made him feet.
Well, that's a maybe a bridge too far. Like
I'm gonna scrub. I'm gonna scrub
skin.
through the movie here, and I'm gonna see.
Yeah, because I just realized I was thinking about it because because again, if he has legs and he's in I guess a permanent sitting position, then the scene with the nurse makes even less sense. Nothing else about this movie matters except that gosh dang
that scene, which is not important to the plot at all.
He's already screwed up. Leon.
He's already screwed up.
Okay, yeah, true.
He does have legs. I can see them.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
But they do. But you're right. They do look like they're permanently bent.
Yeah. Which is why the penis question is also like, so is he just?
I mean, maybe he's got joints like a G.I. Joe.
Oh God, that's weird.
Oh, maybe.
Like,
I'm watching the scene right now of him and the nurse.
One of those dolls that artists use, those little ball jointed.
Yes.
Maybe if like fucking Pin hadn't told Leon about No Nut November, like none of this would have happened.
No Simp September.
Okay, so I'm watching
for his sister.
I'm watching the scene. I'm watching the scene right now with the nurse, and she's being very passionate with him.
That's the thing.
If you're going to do it, why do it mechanically? You're in for an inch. You're in for 6 inches. You're in for 10 inches
with Pin. Like they are having a passionate night in.
This is inappropriate, I'm sure. But what's he packing down there? Like, is it?
That's again. Maybe that's. I don't know. These are the questions that are never answered.
What if she just glued a Coke can to him?
Oh, what?
That's not how it works. Oh Lordy.
Boy, it's a good thing we're stopping this podcast.
Sorry, Megan.
No, I've read things. I've been on the internet, so don't worry about me.
Well, okay, so I'm scrubbing through, and he takes Pin.
She's scrubbing on him.
He's scrubbing Pin.
When the doctor takes Pin and puts him in the car, when he comes in and finds Leon talking to him, like his legs are permanently bent, so they do not flex. So how did she make that happen?
What if she's? Hey, what if it's a hand job?
That is not a hand job.
No.
So what?
Then Pin would be making those noises. Come on.
With his Pin voice. We haven't even talked about his Pin voice.
Jonathan Banks, man.
Jonathan Banks.
That's such a weird role for him.
I just imagine him finishing that at the recording studio and go like, take that to the banks. Every day.
Put a pin in that. I'm done.
Every day. He did that in an afternoon.
Oh, but it's a work of love. That is a complicated voice.
He's not bringing it to that voice acting. I mean, it's a good creepy voice, but he's no Pedro Pascal. Like, let's be real here. If we're gonna
What would Pedro Pascal sound like as Pin?
As Pin? I
Pin.
don't know.
These are the equivalent, I think.
People do ask him really dumb questions on Twitter. Maybe I should ask him.
How would you voice Pin? You know that movie was an animal
Mr. Pascal. First, love Narcos.
I can imagine him knowing what that was, knowing the movie
question.
and being.
No, honestly, yeah, no, I believe that I feel like he would have found that in a bargain bin. Been like, oh hey, I'll watch this.
And he's sitting there. He's behind the mask in the show, and like there's a lot of his dialogue's probably ADR. So he's had a lot of time to think.
All
he's thinking,
ADR.
Yeah, it's all ADR.
No, he's got a mic up inside there. And he's like thinking to himself, the legs don't bend.
These are the questions. This is what I want to know. I'll send him the YouTube link. Please watch this.
Starting at.
And then tell me how you would do the voice.
LA in lockdown again? It's like, you have nothing else to do.
Let's crowdfund.
Loving Mando season 2.
Let's crowdfund Pedro Pascal redoing the voice in Pen.
We'll do that after we get a GoFundMe for us to buy crazytown.com.
Well, we got to do that first because that'll put a little more oomph behind our request.
That's true.
Yes.
So we could point to that.
I was looking at Jonathan Banks's like filmography around this time to see like what he had done around this. He had done a couple of like he was working a lot in '87, did a lot of TV movies, and appeared on some TV. He appeared on Falcon Crest for 8 episodes or something. And
That's
then
a long time for a soap.
and then '87, he was in a movie called Cold Steel, where he played Isaac Iceman.
No! Why haven't
Sharon
we watched
Stone.
that for this podcast?
Yeah, alongside Sharon Stone, and then after
Sharon
Penn,
Stone.
yeah, so
Sharon Stone Cold.
he did Penn in '88, and then in '89 he did a movie called or a video. That's what it says on IMDb from called Honeymoon Academy.
Was that from? Was that a Playboy video?
I mean, with Kim Cattrall.
Maybe a Red Shoe Diary.
Lots of
classy.
A good cast here. We got Robert Hayes, we got Jonathan Banks, Christopher Lee, Charles Rocket.
To be fair, Christopher Lee, Lord love him, he would have done anything.
That is true, but like, I feel like I feel like we need to watch that now.
Like I was recently writing about a movie that was on Tubi, and I have an entire part about it, about the fact that Roddy McDowall is in it, because the checks cash, man. Like, Roddy McDowall would have been in your movie. He would have done it. He would have revoiced Pin.
Oh, he absolutely would have. And
it would have been amazing.
He would have.
Yeah, I love Roddy McDowall.
Yes, he's very good.
Look, I'm just already anticipating that the messages that I'm going to be getting after this episode drops from both Gina Radcliffe and Bo North about, did you seriously have to bring Pedro Pascal into this? They're already going to be like,
same podcast we talked about, that all of us talked about the Coke can.
Not much time separated those two things either. What do you think the direction was for Jonathan Banks? Because like he's I mean, pretty well known now as having kind of a more gruff voice, and obviously he's older, so but his voice is not as high as Penn's is, and that's got to be an interesting thing for an actor to do, like come in and voice this weird medical dummy and talk in a very high pitched voice. And I was kind of curious why they didn't have like either Terry O'Quinn or David Hewlett do the voice themselves, but just like pitch their voice up slightly. Like I was kind of curious why they didn't have it slightly different when it was the doctor talking versus when it was Leon talking. Because like they're both throwing their voice in the exact same way. And I kind of wondered, did the doctor also have the same psychosis? Because there is that scene early where he's talking to Penn when it seems like he thinks no one is around, and then he gets mad at Leon for eavesdropping, and it's like, why is he doing that?
He has the same ventriloquist disease.
I knew this would happen someday, son. It's like the time travel in About Time. It's like we need to sit down and have this conversation now.
You are a ventriloquist. I'm sorry to tell you this way.
Yeah, the scenes where the doctor, I feel like the doctor was just kind of, like, Pin was sort of just his outlet. And so I think him talking to Pin when no one was there, when he catches Leon, it's really just the same as, like, talking out loud to yourself. He was just doing it in the Pin voice. And he was mad to see Leon, one, because Leon was, disobeying him, and that's not allowed. But also just because it was probably embarrassing. And he also had just been doing, like, a doctor's visit on another patient with his kids in the room, which, okay, yes. I guess, there was no HIPAA, but yikes.
We did talk about that in the episode we did back at a couple years ago, and it's so bizarre for those kids to be sitting there while he's working on a patient.
Yeah.
I would walk in there and go like, no thanks.
Like, don't I know you, kid? So you go to my school? I really
Yeah, hey,
am
one of
not
your
comfortable with
classmates is
this.
here to check if he has pneumonia. Come on in.
Like, I know people who work as translators who have to be like, I want to double check I don't know this medical patient before I'm their translator. Like, much less just like, oh, I'm just sitting here for fun.
For fun.
Oh, you got a rash, huh?
You know, like, my father was a sea captain. I got to go in the touch the steering wheel of this giant ship going across the ocean. But those were on its off hours, and the wheel wasn't actually working at that point. They were using computers. So, like, yes, you bring your kids to work, but there are times and places.
Yeah.
Also, the mess would make me all the chicken strips that I wanted.
Nice. Yeah, it's like I'm an archivist, and it's not really like, hey kids, here's a document. I don't know, do something with it.
I think your child would like that.
She would, and horrible things would happen to that document. There'd just be a big drawing of like Peppa Pig on it. I'd be like, oops.
Oops.
Do we need to talk about Aunt Dorothy at all? Like, I mean, she comes and goes pretty quickly.
Yeah,
She comes and goes quicker than the nurse does.
I set that up just for you to make that joke.
I know you did.
Yeah, that nurse is on a hair trigger. Anyway, so
She's been edging all day.
She's walking by pictures of like skeletons and stuff and getting ready.
There's a skeleton in another examination room. She's cheating on him. She went to Home Depot this fall and saw that giant skeleton.
Oh my God.
He's like, he's so big.
Imagine if there was some muscles on that thing.
Oh God, she looked at the skeleton and she just said, "Step on me, daddy." Oh, well, my career is over.
No. If that giant skeleton became Pin, it wouldn't be a Coke can. It'd be like an oil drum.
Oh my God, we've got to stop. I'm very concerned about you both.
Tony called me like, oh, shit. I gotta throw that dick.
See, this is exactly what I expected this episode to be.
This episode is forbidden. It's all the time, people. I don't think you understand. This is why our phone records can never be pulled. Be like, what's this chat? Oh, good God.
Anything to say about Stan? We haven't talked about him. He has a bit of a part in this movie.
Just seems like a nice guy.
Yeah, he seems fine. Like he rightly understands that Leon there's something wrong and that needs to be addressed. And you know, Leon obviously is not happy that his sister might have a normal relationship.
It is a little sad when Leon does think that Stan likes his poetry and is his friend, and he's just like, Pin, I have a friend. It's so great. He loves my weird poems. I'm going to go downstairs and hug my friend. And then Stan's just like, yeah, your brother is not right. And let's do something about him. And poor Leon's little heart gets broken.
He's like, your brother's going to end up marrying Teddy Ruxpin the way he is right now. You got to do something about this guy.
Teddy Ruxpin's out of his league. That's an erudite bear.
Oh, Leon, I love you so much. Turn tape over.
Oh.
Did Leon ever see like Star Wars? He's like 3PO.
Oh man, if Pin had a robotic exoskeleton, it would be great.
And by the way, Teddy Ruxpin is an Iliop. He's not a bear.
Oh.
Oh.
What is that?
He's an Iliop. He thinks he's the last Iliop.
I don't know what that is.
Sorry,
Is
I
that a
didn't
fake
realize
thing?
Phil Gonzalez was here.
Phil has not watched enough Teddy Ruxpin. I continually tell Phil when we are together that one day I am going to make him watch the incredible epic journey that is the Teddy Ruxpin cartoon that is so much more in depth than it has any right to be.
I love when they do that, when they go really hard on a property.
It goes so hard and it's really long. And there's a Wooly What's It? And he goes, Speaking of Canadian shows. Anyway.
Oh, is it Canadian?
It's probably Nelvana, I would assume.
Well, I think that we can get close to wrapping this up, unlike the nurse did with Pin.
Would it be a raw dog, or would that be if it's that, it's not really raw. I mean, it's kind of hard.
Oh, God. That's not what it... Okay. Cut all of this out. This podcast
All right,
is
so
10 minutes long.
Yeah, this is terrible. So finishing up, final thoughts on Pin.
This is a good time for her to plug her show, too.
Yeah, Megan, thank you for joining us. Do you have any final thoughts on the movie, rather, before I wrap things up?
I do think that it is a good, weird little movie. If you like, kind of pseudo horror movies, because it's not particularly scary. It's just more weird, but there's not really any gore other than the nurse scene. There's not any sex. So it's just, I think it's a fine film.
It's a fun film if you like quirky movies that are like nothing else anyone would make, and if you're really into naughty nurses.
Yeah, it's just it's a nice little oddity. Honestly,
it's a more interesting movie than that trailer would ever make you think.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's very true. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Skinner, any closing thoughts on Pin before we finally put a pin in this and never talk about this movie ever again, which I know is a lie.
That's an absolute lie.
We have the pins now. We have to talk about it when we wear them in public.
Like two of us have pins.
Yeah, I know. I'll get one eventually.
Like that's my final thought is, why don't you have a pin? We all talked about this and you knew this was coming.
Yeah.
I know. I told you could shame me on the podcast publicly, so I'm okay with it.
I made a hashtag.
Next time we all get together, Megan and I are going to be wearing the pins.
Mm-hmm.
I will have one by then because it'll be 2022 before we ever get to see each other again.
Boy, that's a downer. You put a downer on this really upbeat episode of the show.
No, the year 2020 created this episode.
That is absolutely true. We've been stuck in our homes for a very long time. I think I would agree with you, Megan. That this
what about me?
I mean, I agree with you too. I should have a pin. But yeah, I think it is a weird, fun, creepy little movie that like is strange, and it's got some really interesting, uncomfortable stuff in it. We didn't even touch on all of it, but you should watch it. It's totally worth your time. It's bizarre and weird and totally fun. Like it's kind of what you want when you sit down. You're like, oh, there's this movie about a medical dummy and a guy who goes crazy, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. And you sort of get that, but it's done very differently from, like Skinner said, that trailer, which gives you an idea that it's going to be, Pin murdering people. We didn't even talk about his little wheelchair with a knife on it, but
oh my God. The movie's so dark. There are times that you're kind of like especially the one that's on YouTube. You're like, I don't actually know what I'm looking at. I don't know if this is atmosphere or just.
But Megan, I mentioned it at the top of the show. But please tell us where people can find you on the internet. You have a podcast. You're also a writer. Tell our audience where they can find you.
I am the co-host of the podcast Let's Get Weirding, a Dune podcast with Bone North. We are discussing Frank Herbert's Dune series chapter by chapter. We are about to start on the third book, Children of Dune. We're very excited for that because this is when stuff starts to get really wacky. I am a staff writer at thespool.net. I write recaps and reviews of TV and movies. Right now, my big thing is I am recapping season 2 of The Mandalorian. And you can find me on Twitter at MP Sunday, where I'm probably talking about The Mandalorian or Pin.
Amazing. Yes. Skinner, anything that you'd like to promote this week?
I already promoted that one podcast, and I promoted my fleets, which will not be still available by the time this comes out. What you really, what? When the borders reopen, please visit my home country of Canada. Once you aren't going to make all my family and friends sick, come and infuse the economy of Canada with your big American dollars. And put your trash in the can. I cannot stress this enough. Trash goes in the trash bin.
Well, I think that's something we can all get behind.
Mhm.
And I will make a recommendation. Doesn't have anything to do with me, but
Is it for Lex the Dark Zone? Which is weirdly, no one in this movie is actually on the Lex the Dark Zone.
I'm sorry. I can't.
Did you
Not
know
Lex.
at some point I was going to mention Lex, right, Megan?
I could feel it. It's on a checklist. Next, you're going to talk about, like, I don't know, the Odyssey, and I don't know.
Maybe next time. I'll be on one of your shows again.
Okay.
Derail your show.
Yeah, that's all this has been, just complete derailment. The thing that I was going to promote, and this will come out a couple weeks after we're recording it, but I just started watching the HBO Max series, The Flight Attendant. It's super fun. Watch it if you haven't. I like the first 2 episodes. Who knows if it holds up, but those are good, so give that a shot.
If it's renewed, it's because of you.
Yes, that's right. If it's good, it's because of me. But yeah, that's going to do it for this episode. It's exactly what I expected it to be. It's exactly what I wanted it to be. Thank you so much, Megan, for joining us on the show. We love you. We're so happy that you could be here for this disgusting episode. Perhaps our grossest, I think, ever.
I think there's been worse things you've done, but we've actually cut it out of the show.
Okay, that's fair. Make me sound like a monster.
I just did.
But until next week, when we're back doing this rehash thing all over again, I've been Josh.
I've been Skinner.
I've been Megan.
And we predict you'll join us. If you like the show, subscribe, rate, and review us over at Apple Podcasts. We're on Twitter and Instagram at predictocast, and you can find our entire back catalog at predictocast.com. Our theme music is by Kyle Sledge. Find more of his work at soundcloud.com/geistmusic. As always, thanks for listening. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
It's Pin.
Ben, there is no train of thought. Let's talk more about syscons.
Okay, well, I have a
close
question.
that page off my phone. And
Oh
I
my
should have
God.
really done that. I wish I had done that in a different tab.
Yeah, you need to private tab that thing.
At least it was your phone.
I mean, there goes. I mean, most of my targeted ads are for macarons right now. They actually text me about sales, and I never give them my text number.
Space ones?
They're from Galaxy flavored.
Yeah.
They taste like chocolate. I bought them. They're in my face all day.